Rogue will be your #1 team in the regular season.
Welcome back, everyone, to the LEC playoffs. Welcome back after that first game between Rogue and Misfits. Rogue is victorious. We saw it in the video there. Misfits, they tend to grasp victory from the jaws of defeat, and they fought hard and they fought back hard in this game, but they couldn't do it. Rogue locked it up. Let's take a look at the draft. Treatz and I, we went over 12.5B and what that could do, especially to the bot lanes or the junglers. Xayah is just picked again, man.
Yeah, I guess it is. I mean, I didn't really like Xayah in this draft, to be honest, because I think it's really hard to play into the Caitlyn Lux, but I mean, it was picked and we predicted it, and then we saw spicy first strike Jarvan as well from Malrang.
Why is that so spicy?
I mean, I just think it's bad personally, but it's spicy in the sense that it's off meta, I guess, and I wonder how much gold he got. I don't think it's that much, but it looked cool.
But despite that, I feel like he played the Jarvan really, really well in this game.
Yeah.
And the composition of Rogue is, I think, quite ingenious as well in the way it's played out. Because as we saw in the later stages of the fight as well, they never had to come close. They were already they were always outranging the opponent. The only one who had to move forward was the Jarvan. Cataclysm came through. There was Equalizer, Lux Ultimate, Ace in the hole. Like, it was so difficult to play against.
Yeah, and I guess that's how it fit into the comp, right? That long range rather engage, which we saw definitely come out to play in the mid to late game, and also against something like a Zeri. The Zeri, we did see her picked, but it was Caitlyn on the other side paired with Lux. Of course, very annoying to play against in that lane.
Yeah, I think it was impressive from the Misfits bot lane side to even out the lane. I think the gank from Shlatan really helped them, and they kind of got rolling from there, and then they were even in CS and didn't lose a lot of plates, so I think they did their job very well, and Neon had a lot of good damage in the mid game, which I think also was impressive, but it wasn't quite enough.
But you know, I find that very curious because at first I'm like, oh, Caitlyn Lux is ingenious. A lot of attention is going to come down to the bot side. But it also allowed Odo to just stay in a 1v1 setting on the Rumble instead, and he completely popped off.
Yeah, I think we have the first blood even for Odo. Now, Odo and Rumble, that is a match made in heaven. He's been playing it forever. He even played it back at Worlds 2016 when it was the Gnar Odo meta, but the Gnar Rumble meta. Should this happen, Guldborg?
Okay, so it's interesting because HiRit has been under a lot of pressure with Larssen moving up with his pressure from the mid lane. But in the end, it's a finicky situation where HiRit might be needing some extra attention. Problem is just that they need to be down towards that bot side, and Odo is capitalizing on that immediately. Should it happen? I'm not too sure. I think HiRit has a little bit of a bad game this time around, but Odo played phenomenally as well.
Yeah, I think the Ignite as well on the Rumble really helps the 1v1 case, right? He knows he will be isolated. He knows his bot lane will grab a lot of resources from the enemy jungle, so he's like, okay, well, I'll go Ignite and I'll just solo kill it then. No problem.
No problem at all. For a couple of stats, this is EU's most proficient Rumble player. 38 games with a 26-12 record. And also, there's no LEC top laner who has more than 2 games where he gets more than 1,000 damage per minute. Ooh. Except for Odo. He has 4 on Rumble. It wasn't quite as much in this game, but it was crazy. And Nymeria is now standing by to break down the 17-minute team fight that got Rogue further ahead.
Well, thank you very much, Sjokz. Because actually, speaking of Odo on that Rumble, huge part of that 17-minute fight that we're now going to take a look of in this clip. So what I wanted to kind of preface this with is that we kind of saw in this game a little bit of what we saw in the early season, the regular season rather, from Rogue in terms of a team that loves to get ahead and use those advantages, and why that's important in this fight in particular against what Misfits are bringing. Because we look at this play right here, and this is the one, of course, where Mersa starts things off, but to very quickly see how this is happening, we see that Misfits are looking to dive forward with Leona, finish off targets very quickly with people like the Zeri piling on top of a pick, but we want to see now here, because we're going to stop it just before things really kick off, because they've decided to go towards a fight, why this doesn't work out so cleanly. They know Lucian's not here at the start of it. Okay, that's one person off the board. Maybe they can play around the Zeri dashing in, dashing out without her getting jumped on by the Lucian. But they don't have the Gnar early enough into the fight. And also you don't have someone like the Paddle Star user of the Zoe coming in too quickly either. So with this early lead, Misfits aren't able to quickly finish off their targets. And then the second thing in this fight comes into play, the terrain. They're not fighting around larger areas like somewhere like here. Somewhere like even over here is a large area. They're fighting right in the middle of this choke. the Jarvan ultimate makes things even worse on that degree. So Misfits didn't quite have themselves the golden pocket to pick up the early kills. They fight into too small of an area, get burned up, and that means that they've wasted enough time at this point falling back for, of course, Larssen to come into the play. The initial instinct is good, it fits their composition, but a couple of factors go against them to make sure it really goes the way of Rogue and they clean up house. Anyway, that's all I had to say on that clip, so back up to you guys.
Love it. Thank you so much, Nymira. And I think this also embodies quite well the trends of this game where Rogue had an early game lead and you see that Misfits felt like they needed to do something, right? But if your opponent is already ahead, it's going to have to be pixel perfect.
I mean, they honestly made that game way closer than it should have been. Rogue was sitting on a 7k gold lead around the third Drake, and Misfits was still able to pile up so many objectives for themselves. And I think we need to give credit to one specific player as well that we don't quite often talk about. Mersa on the Leona was fearless at finding these engages. And yes, when you are threading the line between a good engage and intentionally feeding, it does become quite difficult at times. But I thought Mersa, with the circumstances he had in this game, actually did very well.
Yeah, he did for sure. I think Leona into Lux is kind of like a snowbally matchup, and if the lane goes well for Leona, it's kind of easy, which is why Trymbi also struggled on the Lux after early game. But yeah, credit to Mersa. I think he had some really good engages, and it wasn't quite enough, but I think his mindset is correct and it was aggressive.
And hopefully that means we'll see more plays out of him as this game continues, or as the series rather continue. I also wanted to take a look at the final Baron fight, because as you say, Misfits somehow was still in this game. But unfortunately here in the mid lane, by the way, this is why the Malrang pick wasn't bad.
This is just so perfectly played as well from Rogue in the beginning, the way that they're layering their CC. Like, so many people get piled up in the Cataclysm, and then the long range composition really comes to fruition with the Lox ultimate, the Equalize and all that.
Yeah, I would have liked Neon to flash forward here on comp, because he just flashed as well. So I think if Neon went for the flash that he will go for in a second here a bit earlier, he actually could have won the fight for his team here.
We don't have that much time left, but I would like to look forward to the next game where Misfits had the choice and they are on blue. A couple of things I want to throw out there being, we saw what Neon was able to do on Zeri, right? Even in that last fight where he could have maybe even keeled it over. Also the Rumble, I don't think it's something you need to ban in a first game of a series, but is it now?
I mean, I wouldn't say this. I think this was a matchup specific thing that Odo had prepared, and with now Misfits being blue side, I think they can have an easier time on top lane. They can bounce some stuff out and have a bit more of a comfort matchup for HiRit. So I think blue side is kind of easy to draft on. It always feels easy as a player because you can lock a lot of combos in together, which makes it easier. So I would like to see Misfits have an aggressive draft, which they did in this one as well, but have a bit more safety in the top side.
Okay.
I agree.
Okay, you agree. That's fantastic. Misfits, they are looking to tie up this series in Game 2. So let's send it over to the casters and get us into the draft.
Thank you very much, Sjokz. We are still the casters, and we are still here, ready to get you on into the draft. I'm Medic, that's Caedrel on the end.
Is the other one.
Smile. Ready. What are we now? Because we're Medi-Vedi, right?
It's Medi-Vedi and Mark. Do-do-do-do.
Help.
Right, we're going to be jumping into Game 2, and immediately we're going to be talking about the draft. And I want to bring up that Lucian pick. So we've already seen that it did get small buffs coming into this patch, but we've shown that it can be flexed in a lot of roles. It can be played bot, it can be played mid, it can be played top. The question is, will Rogue play it top? Is this something that they actually exclusively have mid? We know that Comp has played it because we've seen him play it, but I think the problem with flexing it bot is you kind of need the Nami, but maybe there's ways in draft to actually navigate around that.
The danger of the Lucian pick is that because Misfits chose blue, of course Rogue is red side, so that can be flexed on red side really easily on a 1-2. Can be picked on 3 as well, depending on what you've already picked, but I think a 1-2 Lucian could be very dangerous for Misfits, could be an instant target ban. Rumble to me screams like it could be an instant target ban the longer this playoffs goes on, the longer the best of 5 goes on, because if you give it again and it works out and then you start to ban Rumble, it has to be a reverse sweep scenario. So do you just want to close that box already, close that kind of worm straight away, or do you have a pick into it maybe, but you're blind picking?
I think we also need to see Misfits get a little bit more agency in the early game, right? We saw them with 3 struggling lanes in the early lane. It is a style that Rogue is well known for, to making sure they have that strong laning, but perhaps we need to see Misfits put a little bit more priority on their mid jungle. We've seen them run things like Xin Zhao LeBlanc, which allows them to play through mid, and it gives Vetheo so much more agency, not only in the early game, but later on into the game as well.
Yeah, I think LeBlanc on 3 for Misfits last game could have been a big pick for them into the Jarvan early rotation, but that got banned away on 4-5. TF Victor, same bans from Misfits on red side as they were doing in game 1. see what the first big prio is. HiRit and Larssen still open, which are the 2 remaining bans.
Neon's going to get forced onto a different AD carry, though. Jinx and Zeri removed from his pool, 2 of the champions. Well, the 2 champions he really had an impression on in spring. And now with Caitlyn taken away by Misfits and the HiRit ban, we do see a few more mid laners left open coming in here. You've got the Ryze and the LeBlanc that you were mentioning.
I wonder if they're just going to go for the Larssen first. Yeah, Larssen first pick makes the most sense for Misfits because you talked about LeBlanc. Yeah, Shlatan, it's his most comfortable champion. We know that. Maybe they're going to go LeBlanc on 2-3 here, pick up a strong mid jungle. But again, is Rogue going to go for the Lucian flex on 1-2?
You are a bit familiar with Larssen. Of the junglers available, who do you think is the scariest? Would a Xayah or maybe a Volibear? What are you more scared of?
Volibear I think is the most annoying for Larssen. The 1v1 early when he has PTA is quite dangerous. Jarvan's pretty easy to deal with. It's actually just a really good matchup for Larssen.
Yeah.
Xayah is kind of 50-50. Sometimes depending on the game state, depends on your 2v2s because Larssen is a champion that is so flexible that he doesn't have to invade solo. He's so good in 2v2s. He's so good in 3v3s. He just needs setup, and that's why the LeBlanc is so powerful. But Aphelios early rotation here for Rogue. With Jinx down and Caitlyn down, this looks like their next priority on AD carry.
Yeah, in game 1, we saw Rogue saying, hey, we want to prioritize our bot side of the map, and it looks like they're going to do very similar again, and we already talked about the Volibear, right? As you rightly said, it does feel like not only is it a comfortable pick for Malrang, it's something he can have a lot of agency on, it allows him to set up for tower dives in particular, and it's very good into the Larssen.
Definitely is, and now it's on Misfits. Do you pick your AD and support here? Just go full bot lane. Try to get something like a Nautilus lane, which is a very popular early rotation for support because Rogue could pick that up on 3 themselves. Xayah makes a lot of sense because the AD pool will get really pinched if you go to 4-5. Mid lane or support here I think is the best for Misfits, and there's the Syndra Larssen already. Does give counterpick to Larssen though. Do they go mid or do they go for their Nautilus here?
Comes back to what we were saying though, giving this mid jungle more power in the early game especially. Syndra Larssen, tried and true combo. It's been around for a very long time, and we know that this is one of Veteo's most comfortable champions. The question is, as you rightly said, do you now, if you're Rogue, say, hey Larssen, we trust you to be very flexible in terms of what you can draft?
Oh, you do neither.
Oh, you do
Jayce.
neither. Wow, okay, so they're actually going to lock in a blind top. Now they can look to pinch that pool, and they're trusting Larssen in terms of what he has left available.
Misfits need to be aware here that this could be a Jayce flex. This could be a Rumble on 5 into Jayce mid poke, follow up with the Rumble.
Ooh.
So they have to, I think a Rumble ban wouldn't be too bad with this Jayce pick. Something to just be cautious about because Rogue have already shown it in game 1. Just deny one of those AP tops might not hurt too much, but they're going to ban the Lucian themselves.
This to me suggests that the Jayce is top. I feel like that's one of the things that Jayce could very much struggle with in the top side, especially if Misfits suddenly decide to play much more towards the top side, which they have demonstrated in the past that they can do. If it was a like Syndra, Larssen, Lucian top side, that's scary. And that's something that Odoamne, by going for the Jayce, this to me suggests that this Jayce is up towards the top lane and it will be more on the weaker side of the map.
And you think Misfits are thinking the same thing here as well, as they remove the LeBlanc from the pool here, trying to target out some of Larssen's possible mid lane selections. And I think the thing is, as much as we have seen Misfits play towards the top side of the map in the past, it's actually not something we've seen them do too much this year. Last year, HiRit was the shining star of Misfits. He was the one guy that you could look at and be like, this guy is having the split of his career perhaps, but now he's probably the weak point on this team.
How likely are you thinking Aurelia right now? We have seen HiRit's Aurelia this split.
This Gnar ban confuses me because Jayce is good into Gnar. Why would they ban Gnar
They're
when
just
they've already
removing
picked...
comfort from HiRit, surely.
I wonder if this is a Jayce mid and they're going to pick Rumble because they just banned 2 ranged top laners into a melee champ. I don't think they would pick it on 4 unless they value counterpick support so highly, but the Gnar ban, maybe it is just comfort they're denying from HiRit, but 2 ranged carry top laners gone. We'll see what HiRit decides to pick into it. I'm guessing support here for Rogue is the best, but I'm a bit confused right now with what Rogue is up to.
I have a few different options if they do want to go support here. You could look for an engager like the Leona. You could just keep Trymbi on the enchanters where he really shines. Things like the Lux, the Nami, the Yuumi.
Oh, wow.
Larssen, well, it's almost an international competition, so Azir has to rear his head once again. Larssen on the Emperor of Shurima.
Oh, my word. It's one of those things where we saw Caps's Azir in the final week of the LEC, and Larssen's like, whoa, I'm the control mage player. That's what everyone brands me as. Yeah, let me take that back right away from you. He's going to be picking that one up, and it does save this support counter pick for Trymbi, as Misfits have locked themselves in both the Nautilus and the Camille.
Support would be dank here because they have Camille, they have Larssen, they have Nautilus, they have a lot of dive. So Trymbi definitely has a wheelhouse of champions that he can choose from here, but the Azir pick does secure a lot of scaling, but
he's just flexing.
Yeah,
now,
he's just flexing his champion. He's hovering it. Keria does the same. He hovers Echo, then he hovers Sylas, saying that he can play these supports. and then he decides on something different. Rakan here, great team fight for Rogue, 1-4 comp, really strong early game from the Volibear.
Oh my god, I've got the world's best Lee Sin and the world's best Rakan by my side. This is wonderful. Guys, you are in for an insightful cast, I can guarantee you that. But in terms of Misfits comp, to me, this seems very topside focused. You know, you have the Camille who can set up very nice plays. You paired up with the Larssen and the Syndra, which should be able to get early priority, whereas Rogue have a little bit more scaling on their side when you look at the Azir and the Aphelios on their side.
I think Misfits are going to play through mid as much as possible because you can play top, you can play bot. Nautilus gets pushed into Rakan. You have good setup, you have good kill pressure, good dive at 6 especially as well. So I think it's all for mid lane right here for Misfits. Get Vetheo pushing lane, make him be able to move the sides, keep Larssen under control, and shutting down Odoamne's Jayce might not be too bad of an idea to get this Camille rolling.
I think Rogue is just going to look to chill, mostly in the early game, right? Like, Trymbi is likely going to be looking to roam around the map a lot, especially if the focus is focused towards around mid lane. We talked about it at the very beginning of the draft. The Syndra Larssen, very deadly combo. I wouldn't be surprised to see him just hovering to make sure that he keeps his mid laner safe, looking for those counter ganks. And Malrang, I'm very curious as to what he's going to do. We know that he, regardless of what jungler he's on, will look for opportunities pretty much everywhere on the map. So where will he look to strike, and who will he look to try and shut down in the early game?
Let's see if Misfits can strike back in game 2 of this best of 5. And we will unfortunately not be jumping straight on into the game. We do have a short pause at the start of it.
Oh,
so
but
we'll
keep this ambient music.
Yeah?
I always love the music at the beginning of League. You mute it, right?
I mute music.
Yeah, I mute music as well.
I love
too distracting.
I like it more to be, you know, destroy them with lasers, Swedish House Mafia, knife party, something with a little bit more oomph, 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 oomph.
As he's pulling Rakan and he's running down mid with Predator on.
Come going.
Getting a little bit of raving going, but yeah, music always turned off for me. Also the rain and stuff when it's Ocean Soul map.
Ambient effects.
I
No, it
love
distracts,
ambience.
especially on Hex Tech, with all the blue swirlies around the corners of the screen.
Never seen him.
I turn them off now. That's why I hit Masters.
Do you remember when the
That's
Earth
why
used to
you're still in
shake on
plat,
Infernal?
mate.
The Earth shaking on Infernal.
Get rid of
There's
that
Listen,
bad boy.
Medic, I'm bad at League of Legends because my teammates suck.
just as everyone is.
Now, back into some actual high-quality League of Legends, aside from my solo queue. Mersa pathing up towards top, and Trymbi's doing the same thing. Supports are in a league of their own, aren't they? What exactly are they up to here? Are they going to look to try and get a deep ward, or are they just covering? Just keeping an eye on what they're up to towards the top side of the map for now.
Maybe Rogue's thinking of the level 1 they did last time, and they want to make sure Odo's safe. I think it's very common. I've seen this a lot where they would ward top rush.
Yeah.
4-man top, 3-man top, ward top rush. Maybe it's for early lane control, but both teams are going to do it. Malrang, of course, interesting first items. He didn't go for refillable. He went for health potion pink, so he's going to put an early defensive pink in his own jungle, I would expect, unless he's fancies himself walking into river, but if he does it on the top side, that's gone straight away.
Looks like Vetheo is going to step forward here with Shlatan, trying to get some control over this top side of the jungle. Ward placed around the Razorbeaks. That will spot Malrang as he works his way towards the top half of his jungle later on.
So, as we are in this early stage, I want to cast our minds back to the last time that Misfits and Rogue actually played against each other, because these two organizations do have a bit of a history, and last year, Misfits was one game away from actually making it to the World Championship, right? They did that twice. They fell short to both Fnatic and Rogue, and in this matchup in particular, it was a Viego pentakill that really saved the game, along with a few just slightly clutch fights that didn't go in the favor of Misfits. And the ironic part of it is when you think about Misfits now, the way that they've evolved as a team is when you get to those late stage clutch moments, they are actually very reliable and very good. So I think we've seen big evolution and growth from Misfits, even though they've made dramatic changes to their roster.
Yeah, definitely have. The playstyle just looks a lot different. I mean, HiRit last year was one of the best top laners in the league because of the amount of resources Misfits from Razork actually funneled towards that top side with early dives, early pressure, early pathing. Now it's very different. I mean, you can look at the map right now. HiRit's being pathed away from. He's in a matchup that gets pushed in early. There's not as much explosiveness towards the top side, but the clutch factor's there. The rookie support jungle and playing for Vetheo who's been a star this split.
Yeah, Vetheo definitely the standout player for Misfits so far. First in the All-Pro team, of course. And in Game 1, he was neutralized by Rogue. Wasn't really able to have too much impact even on his Zoe, and because of that, a lot of the weight of expectation fell onto Neon on the Zeri. Here, Neon and Mersa have the push in the early game in that bottom lane, and Shlatan is on this side of the map.
Small thing there, Misfits just pinged the bot wave that's about to go towards their tier 1. It's very common for pro teams to sync up timers by pinging waves. Yes, you can say 10 seconds, you can say 15, but they just pinged bot wave. So with Misfits stacking this, Shlatan's probably going to move into bot river here with that ping. With the on-the-way ping, I think they're going to look for some kind of dive, but Malrang's on the way as well. He's actually backtracked back from top to bot because of this stacking wave. So Misfits have to be careful.
The awareness of both these teams as Malrang
Shlatan gets it!
will lose the crab as Shlatan does the ward hop into Smite to secure that one away.
Ooh, loved it.
I don't think Shlatan's going to be able to get the top crab though. For now, it seems that both teams will disengage. Vetheo did get a cheater recall off. He was able to push in that wave and go back to base. You can see that he is suffering a little bit in terms of the farm department, but he should be able to catch that back up as this stacked wave comes back towards him.
You can just see the strength of these two teams, right? I mean, this is really high-level League of Legends, of course. Malrang's pathing top, but he's very aware of every lane state, and Misfits are communicating a bot stacking wave into dive. Malrang reads it, paths spot, denies it, shows himself. Yes, Misfits get a good base on their AD carry, and the wave will bounce into them now. They have tempo in bot, which is good, but now Malrang's up towards the top side, so he's giving up camps. He hasn't done his Crux yet to make sure that he's kind of everywhere on the map.
You can see HiRit diving in, just trying to trade onto Odoamne, knowing he wouldn't win a prolonged battle, but if he can get Odoamne down to half HP or so before a possible dive comes out, means that Rogue may be a little bit more apprehensive about making that play to the top side. Malrang backed away, he's now going back towards bot, as is Shlatan. HiRit still trading in here, couldn't quite land the Q, so Odoamne is able to walk away.
Spam danger pings from Larssen. I was just going to say on Vetheo, spam ping him, so Odoamne is just going to take a base.
Yeah,
do they know that Mersa's here?
There.
Sneaky, sneaky.
It's wave stacking, but look at the positioning of Malrang right now. Still level 3.
Mersa flashes forward. There's the root. Trymbi with a good knock-up, though, and Comp is able to walk away from this one for the moment. Shlatan diving in. Comp flashing away. The Gravitum lands onto 2. And Rogue able to walk away from it until Trymbi falls for first blood. Malrang flashes across the wall, gets the Thundering Blow stun. And it's a 1-for-1 trade in the bottom lane.
Mersa's mechanics there a little bit messed up. He was looking for the flash auto, but the problem is he couldn't hook because Trymbi was blocking it. By the time Comp flashed away, Trymbi was body blocking for so long that Mersa thought, oh, I'll just try my best now. But he unfortunately hit the wall, so he couldn't follow up with Shlatan as quick as he would like, and it ends up in a 1-for-1, like you said, Medic.
I think Comp also had the lifesteal guns too, so the moment that he was flashed on, he just hit Q, and then he was able to not only get a new set of guns up, but he was able to survive a lot of the initial burst. I want to just keep it, yeah, so notice here, when Mersa flashes on his face, Comp is immediately going to pop that Q, and then he's going to start lifestealing all through so much of the damage that comes through, and then he's going to get to rotate into the Infernum as well. Trymbi doing a great job of body blocking where he can, and the rogue bot lane playing this about as well as they could until Misfits is able to commit and get the first blood.
Trymbi, you know that as a Rakan, as a support main medic, just block absolutely everything for AD carry, so situations like this can happen where you can turn.
Great play there by Trymbi and the Rogue bottom lane. Of course, Malrang once again in the right place at the right time, and this is something he does when Rogue want to scale and they're not looking for too many aggressive early game plays. He shadows incredibly well. He is able to read the map, understand where the enemy team wants to be, and then find these counter ganks. He was the reason that really became a 1-for-1. And now he will take that big Razor Beak away from Shlatan.
Malrang getting his revenge for the crab earlier on, smites it away from Shlatan. Big stacking wave in top for HiRit. Probably going to look to base when that crashes. Not a bad early game so far for Misfits. They keep trading 1-for-1 in these early plays, but their Xayah is actually getting pretty far ahead. We'll take another base here, Neon. And we know how powerful the Xayah is in lane, and kind of like when she gets those early lethality items, the QE combo is really good poke, so you can stack waves and set up for dives pretty easily. I'm just waiting on Misfits to see when they'll start playing through mid to make sure that they can get Vetheo involved in these side lane plays.
That's exactly what I wanted to bring up, Caedrel, because so far top lane has just kind of been the ebb and flow of the wave, right? It's kind of gone back and forth. They've been very neutralized. Misfits have actually pretty consistently been looking to attack Comp and Trymbi with repeated appearances from Shlatan as a flash in from Mersa.
Well, Trymbi does still have W here and uses it to dodge away from the scatter the weak. Hexagol made him used in the top lane. Shlatan on his way as well. Malrang here for the answer. Shlatan trying to get away. The stun. Odoamne flashes and he will escape. Shlatan dives forward, has the kick. Will be able to take down Odoamne. 1-for-1 traded on the top side. Malrang though still has the chase and has the ultimate. Shlatan tried to get away with a QQ combo, but couldn't get over the wall.
I wonder if HiRit got minion blocked there for a second, because it looked like he was trying to run away, but he had his Q2 up. I thought he was trying to turn for a second, but my initial gut feeling is he was kind of creep blocked there, so he couldn't run away. But anyway, good play for Rogue. 2-for-1 in their favor. Malrang trades back, and Comp is looking for Neon.
Forces the flash out from Neon. Remember that Neon is only level 5 at this point. They were worried about an all-in. And that was just a straight up 2v2. They knew exactly where both junglers were. But Neon respecting the all-in potential of this rogue bot lane. But I think we got to see there the demonstration of why Volibear can do very well, especially in terms of the 2v2 that he finds himself up towards the top side of the map. And once again, we see that example of covering. Malrang does, he does get spotted. I think those pings come down, but Shlatan is here, level 5 for level 5 in terms of jungle presence, but then he immediately turns on to HiRit.
Yeah, he did get minion block. He had to use his Q2 on the creep to actually free himself from being able to run away, so that made it so Malrang could catch up with the stun, and good
minions,
trade back.
The minions as well there, because they were stacked up in favor of Rogue. Shlatan, he had to dance around these minions to try and get that final kill onto Odo, and Odo doing everything he can to just buy time to get Shlatan as low as possible to allow Malrang to then pick up that final kill.
And just one thing to note here is comp will find Mersa. Rogue hasn't made a single play of their own yet.
Yeah,
Malrang's just been juggling the entire map. Misfits, aggressive play on bot, aggressive play on top. Malrang's just been at 3 places at the exact right time to shut down all of their plays. The early bot dive, and then the second bot follow-up gank from Mersa overstaying, and now this top play. So good map read so far by Malrang.
And we haven't really seen a single play mid for Misfits. We talked a lot about in the draft how the expectation was we'd see roams from Mersa up towards the mid lane. We'd see them try and set up Vetheo for success, but it is not been the case. They've been attacking bot, they didn't make a play up towards top, and while Vetheo has done a great job of keeping Larssen underneath his tower, Larssen is fine to just sit back, chill, catch the farm, and this rogue comp is quite happy to relax and scale for the time being.
Yeah, and Misfits gave up the Herald. Malrang has it and he's hovering top, and Shlatan can't do Drake right now because his support is moving towards top side. They're thinking that maybe there's a dive happening on their Camille, but in the end, HiRit catches away and they're going to back off. Trymbi, it's worth. It's worth.
It's 100% worth.
He's got to take an Uber back to base now because Trymbi's going to chase him all the way down. It's the classic. Just murder the AD carry's tempo and make sure bot's in a stable spot.
That's a Hilly classic, right?
The Hilly classic.
And I will say, it's something we've seen Trymbi start to do a lot more this year. Last year, he seemed a bit apprehensive coming into playoffs for Rogue. He was on stage with shaking hands. He was nervous. He was anxious. But this year, he has really stepped up for this team. He's incredibly vocal if you listen to their voice comms. And it really feels like we have had an evolution of Trymbi into one of our league's not best supports yet, but into one of our league's really promising supports.
And I will say that I'm so grateful for the European ecosystem, and that we have so much talent that continuously comes up. And I mean, you already look at Mersa, right? He didn't make a big impression during the regular season, but already he's being way more noticeable in playoffs as Vetheo. He's gonna have to flash here, right?
Yeah, but Malrang can chase him across the wall with the Stormbringer. Vetheo, there's the Stormbringer, flashes away from it. Was just trying to make Malrang burn the ultimate, but that is a summoner burnt from Vetheo.
Yeah, it's going to hurt because you're against an Azir, so Larssen has really good setup if they want to look for a mid gank in a minute's time when the waves are even and Vetheo's back to lane. Rogue's going to try to cancel Neon again.
Now Trymbi steps forward, can just dance away.
Wow.
And as funny as that Ignite was from Trymbi, the reason Rogue is able to push in bottom pressure is because Neon still hasn't base, and now Malrang can move down. Maybe he wants to drop a Herald bot lane as well, get his bot lane some plates. I think Aphelios has great guns to slowly take this tower down. And all of this comes off the back of Trymbi igniting Neon, stopping his base, making it so he takes a bad base because Rogue keeps pushing in, and now you've lost your tower. So these small things add up to a domino effect in League of Legends, and that's how tempo works on the map. Now Rogue can push out bot, get this tower, base, and start to control the top side of the map.
Oh, beautiful. And I guess the moral of the story is, go back to your tower when you base, perhaps. I mean, it's one of those situations where Trymbi, he was nowhere near, he committed his W, Ignite to interrupt the back, so maybe it wasn't even entirely Neon's fault, but it's one of those situations where a small mistake can really cascade at the highest level of play, and now Rogue found themselves with the gold lead as we get closer and closer to that 50-minute mark. They have this scaling composition that's only going to get stronger to deal with as the game progresses. And remember, when you have things like Azir and Aphelios, they love it when champions try to come into them, right? When you have things like the Camille trying to dive on top of you, when you have the Larssen trying to dive on top of you, they have so many tools to manage with that. And then you add on to the fact that Trymbi has this very powerful engage tool. Rogue's comp has a lot of options.
Yeah, I think Misfits now are quickly realizing, okay, we can't play around bot anymore. We've lost our bot tier 1. What's our win condition? Well, it could be mid, as they're hovering around it, but also top could be their win condition as well. If HiRit is ahead on side lane and can push Odoamne into these tier 2s and has kill pressure or threat on him, then that frees up the rest of the map because you won't get mid push against his Aphelios Rakan. You might not get mid push against the Azir either if he's hovering around too, so shutting down top might be their best option now. You can see how their play has transitioned from bot side now towards the top side of the map as they look for the Krugs. There's a lot of members committed to this. They're giving up a lot of bot push. I think Rogue, if they know they're all here, they can look for a bot tier 2.
But I can't believe Odo's base there. I'd love to know if that was intentional or not, but basically he gave no information. He wasn't near any minions, he wasn't spotted on any ward, and you could see that Shlatan was looking, hey, maybe he's underneath this tower, maybe we can dive him, but he'd already gone back to base, so great play there once again from Odoamne.
Yeah, great map reads. He sees that bot's pushing out, and he sees that no one's answering the wave.
And Malrang, man, it's like that meme, you know, I opened my fridge, Malrang was there. I went to bed, Malrang was there. Like, he is just doing a great job of, as you rightly identified, guys, just not being super proactive, but being reactive, mitigating a lot of the early agency that Misfits is trying to find for themselves.
It's just been in the right position at the right time so many times here. Shlatan continuing to try to be a nuisance, but doesn't seem to win those as Malrang will secure his own red, and it becomes very difficult for Misfits now to find avenues to approach this game because Rogue, with their scaling composition, are starting to get an item across the board on all of their carries, and they have push in the bottom lane. They can move this Aphelios towards the mid lane if they want. They've already taken the first dragon of the game. It's 3 minutes before the next Drake is up, and really, where can Misfits attack? You know, you said maybe top lane, but you're attacking Odoamne, who we called the weak side king for like 3 years. Even if you try and catch him out, Malrang and Trymbi are then there to back him up.
Yeah, the push and pull here from Rogue is just fantastic to see. I mean, Com catches the wave safely, bot pushes it out at range, and then he bases, moves mid, Larssen catches bot wave, and Rogue are all topside. So Misfits are slowly going to match. They are quite strong. Despite this gold deficit, it's not too big of a deal when you have things like Larssen and Camille. If you find one angle and you get the kill instantly, then you can start to move forwards from there or decide to back off. The amount of mobility on the champs and decision-making you have is very crystal clear. So for now, we'll see what Misfits opts into, but all of Rogue have their summoners, and they're playing very, very respectfully right now.
Yeah, I will say that Misfits comp, probably that mid-game spike, that 1.5, 2 items is really when these champions in particular are very, very scary. Odo, though, looking for a bit of a trade. I think actually falls short there, or relatively even, but here comes Malrang once again.
Of course he's there. He's always there, waiting in the wings. If HiRit oversteps, he is done for, but he just backs away into the bush, and now Odoamne and Malrang will team up to work their way down the map a little bit. Instead, they turn around.
Oh, HiRit should base here. He's going to think there's a solo kill, but Malrang, again, is hovering. So if he decides to take it, he might die.
Here comes Malrang. The Hexag ultimatum is still stunned up. No way for HiRit to get out of this one. The flash burn, but burn, burn, burn. Odoamne with his second kill of the game.
Malrang's presence of mind this game is just, it's flawless. Misfits are trying their best, bless them. They're really looking for these plays, and the plays they're doing are probably correct. HiRit overstaying, thinking Malrang's gonna back away. Maybe we have a play. Overstaying in bot to try to catch them off guard. Fantastic. Rogue have good scaling. They don't really need to do anything. And all Malrang has to do is juggle these lanes, and so far, it's been fantastic.
He's in your lane, he's in your fridge, and he's in your head. Man, he is everywhere right now. Malrang having a phenomenal series. Once again, been involved in every single kill that has happened on the map. Rogue find themselves with 2 towers, and, you know, again, I think it was fair that, especially fan sentiment, was he kind of fell off in the second half of the split. I think that he didn't have the same level of impact that he was in the first half, but I don't think that suddenly stopped him doing what he does so well, which is facilitating his laners. And I think that this series has once again demonstrated what he does so well for Rogue and why he fits into this team so well, in that he enables already very strong laners to be strong laners.
And just like Manic was saying earlier, I think Trymbi picking up the communication with maybe a little small language barrier with Malrang. He still has good ideas, and League is almost like a language as well. Hang on a second, Trymbi.
Featherstorm coming out from Neon, a good disengage, but Mersa's already popped. Rogue 4 members strong in the mid lane. Now a TP coming in from HiRit as he looks to try and turn this one around. Shlatan's on his way, Malrang locked up, and we'll just be able to dance away. The root coming out, Shlatan still chasing forward with the Stormbringer. Shlatan already down to half HP, and no one from Misfits can join their jungler. All sniped by Odoamne.
Larssen's here.
Larssen joins the fray. HiRit dashes away, and Rogue will have to settle for 2.
Yeah, Misfits just trying to keep forcing the play because HiRit TP'd in and Larssen's pushing bot, so they need to get something. Unfortunately, Shlatan couldn't kick, I believe, onto Trymbi or Malrang earlier on. Has to use it defensively. That ends up dying. Trymbi on the side.
Doesn't have flash, doesn't have the quickness, and it would be very greedy for him to try and find the engage. HiRit dives onto the backline. Odoamne caught in the Hexag ultimatum. He will be stopped by Neon, but Trymbi.
Oh, Trymbi.
Alongside Odoamne able to get a counter kill. It's HiRit who goes down, and Rogue still able to fight a 1-for-1.
Wow.
Oh, meanwhile, Malrang gets Dragon as well, so A lot of fighting, and again, like I said, the second HiRit TP's in and both these side waves aren't in good spots, you have to force something. In the end, they get a shutdown onto Odoamne.
So let's have a look at this initial engage. You can see that Odoamne has made his way down towards the mid lane. The engage comes in from Trymbi. Great reactions from Neon, but the numbers are just so in favor of Rogue. Shlatan makes his way down. The double TP comes in from Misfits, and this is when they commit to try and get something back.
So where's Shlatan's kick here? Because he hits Q onto Malrang, which is fantastic. But he could look to kick him backwards. He's stunned right now. Could kick Trymbi as well. He's holding it for so long and he's just kind of standing there. Goes for the QRQ combo to Malrang, but he knows he dies if he keeps going for it. Odoamne snipes him off. Larssen arrives here to ease away, but Misfits are realizing, guys, we need to do something. Top wave's pushing in. We're already losing bot wave. I'm just going to run around and force the play. They have flash, but I have Camille. Odoamne dies, but Misfits still lose the fight.
It actually looks like HiRit saying, hey, I can disengage from this. Maybe we can get a top tower while Rogue is looking to reset. But then Misfits saying, no, Mersa's coming back. We can go for the re-engage. And they end up trying to find themselves a quick pick. Ends up being 1-for-1 once again, though. And Rogue walk away, not with the tower, but with an extension of their gold lead and another Drake in their back pocket.
That's an incredible struggle now for Misfits. HiRit in an awful position on the side lane, currently answering into Larssen, but Odoamne would beat him out as well. In the mid lane, Vetheo hasn't been set up for success, hasn't had the agency we've seen him shine with throughout the course of spring, and only Neon really in a good position. The question is, can he really put this team on his back?
That's the thing. We came into this series with eyes on Vetheo. The level he was showing, the amount of kind of MVPs he got throughout the entire split, just winning every game single-handedly with clutch moments. But it's Neon who's kind of gone under the radar, is almost like a consistent carry for them. You think of the Jinx picks, the amount of times he's picked in and done well in fights or found plays which shouldn't happen. It's again him who needs to carry this game. He's the one ahead. Vetheo hasn't found his way in just yet.
That's a lot of damage.
Yeah, I think Neon might just be dead. Featherstorm coming out, but Trymbi has the quickness now. Can look for the engaged Stormbringer. Trymbi decides against popping the ultimate, and Neon brings the feathers back. And will stop Malrang and Larssen going any further. Trymbi still holding on to the quickness.
Malrang forced to flash out of that, realizes that he may have overcommitted a little too much, but Trymbi holds on to that engage. He can use it as a tool to continue this siege. Odoamne continues to push in bot while HiRit pushes in top. Rogue, I don't think they're going to try and set up any crazy play towards the top side. Larssen's just going to go and answer, but Rogue continuing to get more control over the map.
Oh, it's a horrible trade for Misfits. They walk up mid and push in the wave. Rogue get bot tier 2, they get mid tier 1, and Misfits can't even trade it for this top tower. HiRit can't even crash the wave and hit the tower, so there's really nothing for them to play for just yet. It feels like their only play is just to group it up mid and try to force something.
This is going to be the Herald dropped. They're going to try and use to get the time down, but here's the quickness.
Oh, great kick. Vetheo still burns the flash hacker. Old Maiden going in as well as HiRit is locked in there for a second. He'll get away. The Rift Herald will be stopped. Larssen comes in from the side as well. It's going to force Mersa back. Flash away by the Nautilus. Rift Herald didn't get a charge in though.
I was wondering if Larssen was going to throw up a tower there, decides not to.
It's a very odd game state because Misfits can't play side lanes whatsoever, but they have got good engage if HiRit's around and Mersa can hit a hook and Shlatan can look for a kick. So what tends to happen right now in the last couple minutes is Misfits are trying to force mid. Rogue have to match. Odo has to TP to make sure they're not giving up mid push, because if you give up mid push, then they can fix their side lanes, and the only way they can get mid push is by forcing. So Rogue just kind of holding them, stopping them from being able to fight, or at least trying to trade back when they do so, and they're just winning out on sides the entire time.
And it is kind of the story of Misfits season. Fall behind in the early game and then somehow find a fight that gets you back on into it. Here in playoffs, they have yet to really find those battles against Rogue. Game 1, they had a few opportunities. Here in Game 2, they are struggling. Trymbi once again with a great flank here. Featherstorm available for Neon. No quickness available for Trymbi means that Trymbi probably won't look for the full-on engage as of yet.
Now we can see that with the dragon spawning in about a minute's time, Misfits once again trying to be very proactive on getting onto the objective first. We saw this a lot in Game 1. We're seeing it again where they try and clear out this vision, whereas Rogue is focused on catching these waves. Odoamne, curious just to what he's doing here, pathing all the way around towards mid. I thought he would actually try and catch this bot wave and look to push it out, but instead they're going to leverage numbers in mid lane to make sure that they can have control and then force their way into the river.
Yeah, Odo has no TP, and if he goes bot here, it's going to push in the wave and move, and it's going to be a 4v5 scenario where they can't contest Drake. So for now, he's going to be a poke machine. First one's going to miss, but he's there to contest the wave. Here it's on the way again. The 5v5 begins.
He could stay bot, I feel. He could just keep the pressure up, but perhaps they're concerned because they don't have that much vision around the bot side of Rogue's jungle.
Gravitum. Oh, it's the Inferno actually hits 2. Oh my. Well, that's a lot of damage.
They can go Nash. That's a shock blast. They have an Azir as well. The pings are coming in. Misfits need to read the play. They have TP on Vetheo.
Oh my word. A single ultimate from Comp is going to be enough to secure Rogue the Baron. But Misfits, they're not going to give it up easily. Shlatan has everything he needs to steal this one away.
Trymbi there, blast gun available to him. Shlatan stepping forward, Larssen stepping in. Good kick, as you say, but the unleashed power isn't enough. Shlatan trying to dodge around this Mersa low. HiRit diving onto the back line. The hook's going to land on Trymbi, but he flashes into the bush. 2 kills quickly over to Rogue as they take down HiRit. And they kill off Mersa, and they'll turn their eyes back towards the Baron.
Yeah, Larssen doesn't have TP, so he can't be there for it, but the Aphelios has good guns to melt this. Odoamne's around as well. He's looking to see if Misfits want to walk up again. Vetheo's trying to take their pink, just pushing him back. Trymbi should be careful. He has ultimate, but Vetheo does a lot of damage. As Nash ticking down 20 seconds on HiRit's TP. Maybe Misfits just have to look for some kind of dragon here.
I think it's the best play for Misfits at this point.
You can see Rogue trying to answer it though, Vedi. Get a couple of people in position.
Yeah, they're actually setting up a bit of a play here. They've actually been able to gain access into the river. The Baron will go down, but I think at this point, it's a little greedy committing to this.
Yeah.
There's no TP available on Odoamne, but, you know, Larssen and Odo just continue to chip them away. They're using their range.
Look at Trymbi. He's hiding in the dragon pit.
Oh my, I can feel his inner Hylissang. I can feel it. He's looking for the play.
Oh, he's spotted. Oh, now he's in the back of the pit. He's going to have to try and dance away. Does get onto Larssen.
They're starting this. They're going for Baron and the Dragon as well. Comp is back on the map.
7,000 gold on the lead.
Shlatan.
Rogue looking for their 3rd dragon of the game. Shlatan trying to get in from the side. Trymbi still has the quickness here. Shlatan lands the Q, lands the kick, but that dragon is not low enough for him to follow up. Dragon secured for Rogue. The Baron as well, and Misfits can find nothing on the map.
Yeah, and this all comes back off Comp's ultimate and Odoamne's Shock Blast hitting the backline. The combination was deadly. There's the ultimate and there's the Shock Blast. 3 people hit. Luckily, Neon ults that. If he didn't, he'd be around 10-20% HP there. And then Odoamne's just playing to zone with Trymbi. The second someone walks up, poke them out. Trymbi's trying to mark Shlatan as much as possible, so Rogue are very aware of where the Smite Seal could be. And then it's just easy from there. It looked like Shlatan could outplay Larssen here. Good dash away, but Larssen's at such a range that Vetheo can't really follow up.
I'm really impressed with Rogue's control. You know, we talk a lot about this team being a smart team in terms of their objective setups, the way that they play the map, the way they play lanes, they're reliable laners, but team fighting, I think, has still been a bit of a hit and miss. I think that when they team fight, sometimes their communication has been a bit off, sometimes their target focus has been a bit all over the place, but in this series so far, the way they've been playing fights is just so impressive to me. They're very controlled, and they're just so good in terms of their target selection. It feels like they have a clear objective. For now, we want to get the Baron, as now they look for HiRit.
Look at the damage onto HiRit. The charm coming out as well. HiRit's going to have to dash away. Trymbi was hit with a Scat of the Week, but it's not enough. And as you say, Vedi, they continue to find these picks. They're playing around vision really well. Their team fights have looked strong. Currently, they are 8,000 gold ahead, and although we cannot count out Misfits, once again, they look for a Hail Mary. The TP, an option as they dive onto Shlatan, Malrang. And the rest of Rogue are able to take out one.
Instantly stuns Shlatan the second he wall jumps forward, looks for a kick flash onto Comp. Good reaction time from both the jungle and AD, and Rogue are like this well-oiled machine. Everyone's doing their job so well, push and pull around the map, and Misfits have no response. They've really tried their best to make plays, and all they can do for now is just hold on.
I really think that this series so far has been like a topside gap. Malrang and Odoamne have just been destroying their counterparts. Shlatan has been limited in what he can do in the early game, and it's not for fault of trying, right? Malrang has just consistently shut him down, and Odoamne has been decimating HiRit. And I think that the team as Rogue have just limited Misfits' primary win condition of allowing Vetheo to carry. They're now trying to break into the base of Misfits, but they're not going to overstay their welcome.
Tower there.
Misfits is just looking for something. Odo pushing in the mid lane. Imagine doubting Odo, although he's not always the focal point of a team. 12 playoffs this man has attended, 120 playoff games. He has almost as many, almost double as many playoff games as Vetheo has games in the league. Like, this guy has been around for a long time. He has gone through a lot of metas, and the only thing he hasn't claimed is a first place spot in the LEC. Forever second, Odoamne. Forever in the semi-finals, Odoamne.
Remember, last year was the first time he was ever in a finals, right? And he came so close as well. We know how heartbreaking it was for him when they were one game away. Even in a winning game, they were so close to getting themselves their title.
But there's also a top-tier list of EU players who have made a semi-finals at the Worlds. And he's on that list. Even though he doesn't got a title, he's been through many metas, he's been through many teams. So many different teams, so many different rosters and lineups. And Rogue, he has been shining on over the past couple of years, just yet to find that trophy. But for now, Rogue, we're sieging onto mid and top. Dragons in 1 minute 30. They're going to set up towards the bot side, and I really feel like Vethyo's just kind of been missing for me this series. And I think the big reason why is Misfits just aren't playing towards mid as much as I would want to see. They're playing for side lanes, great, but if you're playing for side lanes, at least bring Vetheo with you if you're not going to play for mid plays. And Vetheo has been very quiet, and maybe they want to put him on something more of an enabler like an Akali, which can do individual plays rather than something like the Syndra.
And don't get us wrong, Neon's having a great series, right? He is playing extremely well, but he can't do this alone. Rogue doing everything they can to shut him down, and now they're going to be breaking into the base. The first tower will fall. The wave is stacked up bot. Systematically, Rogue are taking apart Misfits. They are taking apart their base.
And it looks like they have grown in the 2 weeks that we had between the regular season and now. Often people look at Rogue and they say, oh, it's just the regular season. It's not what they will continue to look like when it comes to playoffs. Here, they seem to have evolved. Obviously, still a long way to go before you can hoist that trophy, before you can call yourselves LEC champions, but it's good luck so far for Rogue. And it's a difficult road for Misfits. Their base in tatters, their inhibitors raised to the ground as the bottom one is about to fall, although Mersa might look for the engage before it does. Comp flashes away, Neon puts the feathers down, Larssen's trying to answer him, dodges away from the feather, pull back, but still Neon has enough damage. Stormbringer into the back line as Odoamne trades with HiRit off towards the bottom side. Trymbi low, the root's going out as well, and now Neon can really open up. Veteo's going to get the shot down. HiRit continues to step forward. Neon full HP, double buffs as well, but can't chase any further.
It's bittersweet for Misfits. They get 2 kills, they get 2 shutdowns, but the Dragon's up and they can't walk into their own jungle. So although the fight's pretty even across the board and they made some nice individual plays, they are going to lose this Ocean Soul. Vetheo has TP, yes, but Shlatan is the one who's chunked out.
Huge props to Neon. He did such a great job of finding that kill onto Larssen. Both demonstrating high mechanical excellence as they were dancing around each other's abilities, but it was Neon that ended up coming out on top, and we'll bring this back up in the replay, but a pretty scattered fight with a lot of things happening everywhere. The initial engage coming out from Mersa, focusing and separating Comp from the initial fight. Then look at Neon on the backline, uses his ultimate very early, initial flash from Larssen, flash from Neon to land the feathers, then he slides to dodge those, but Neon has too much consistent damage. Meanwhile, Odo gets that kill onto Mersa, and this is where the fight then kind of comes to its conclusion.
Yeah, fantastic highlighting of the individual plays there, Vedius, and of course the 1v1 between Odoamne and HiRit. Odoamne wins out, he's able to turn as HiRit over chases, and then the members are even on the map, and Rogue still have control of it. So small blunder, you have to admit, but great capitalization there from Misfits. Unfortunately, now you're against an Ocean Soul Rogue with a massive gold lead. Baron is up.
And I just have to say, this is my favorite part of League of Legends, seeing the best players in chaotic team fights still perform mechanically at an extremely high level. Nothing but a joy to watch as Mersa is likely losing his life.
Trying to get to the blast cone, but there's nowhere for him to go. Odoamne on a rampage now, 7-2-4 on this Jayce. And because of that, you have to wonder, can Misfits fight around this Baron? They have to look for something, but Odoamne, once again, the bouncer, the bodyguard, not letting Misfits pass the entry point to the river. HiRit will step up, but he's half HP.
Look at Trymbi.
Trymbi has the flank position. I've said that more than once this game, and as you say, they can't get in. Trymbi will chase out HiRit. Baron secured for Rogue.
They have a top wave as well, so I don't think they're done here. HiRit is going to die.
Well identified, Caedrel.
You did nothing wrong there. You did nothing wrong, Caedrel. Right, well, this will be the base once again falling apart for Misfits. Rogue have looked nothing but dominant so far in this series. They're gonna go up 2-0. Misfits will be on their last legs.
Stormbringer in to stop that Nexus tower from firing. The second one will still put up a little bit of a fight, and perhaps Shlatan with a kick, a possibility. He only gets onto one, he only gets onto Comp. He didn't look for the 5-man kick, and Comp now will chase the rest of Misfits down. Vetheo pops the stopwatch on his fountain, but the shock blast will still find its mark. Neon puts the feathers down, will assassinate Comp, but Rogue with a cannon minion and 4 players left will be able to take down the Nexus towers. HiRit back up, Neon slides back into the team, and Rogue with a dominant performance will go 2-0 up.
Oh, Rogue looked dominant in this series, and I must say, to me, HiRit looked like a bit of a McLaren F1 car medic. He was fantastic last year, but this year he's just not finding the pace. Rogue are shutting him down so well this series.
You just had to sneak one in there, didn't you?
Vedi doesn't get that at all.
F1 reference.
He hasn't even watched Drive to Survive, right?
Okay, good.
Yeah. talking about NASCAR, right?
Yeah.
They go in circles.
It's the one with the motorbikes.
Right, yeah, that's the one. Now, what has impressed me is Rogue 29 kills game 1, 19 kills game 2. Misfits hasn't even been able to get to double digits.
Yep.
And a lot of that credit does need to go to Malrang once again, because every early gameplay that Misfits have ever tried to make, Malrang has said no before they even get a chance. And he is having a phenomenal series so far.
And a lot of people doubted him coming into Spring as well. Like, Inspired, leaving, going over to NA. A lot of people said they've lost Inspired, Rogue will not be the same. They won't be able to match that. Even when Malrang was announced, people were like, it's a downgrade. You know, at most, it's a side grade, and most people didn't think that. Here, in Spring in the regular season, and now in playoffs, he continues to show that he was the right pick for Rogue, and he is showing up well. Now, Rogue are 1 win away from pushing Misfits to the lower bracket, but before we get to Game 3, let's listen to our Song of the Week, Fever by Mauzio featuring BBZ, which is available on the official LEC playlist on Spotify.
I thought you were going to mess that up. I really...